Hello everybody, in this video we'll be going over points, lines, and planes. Ideally what they are just undefined terms that build everything within the world of geometry. Got a couple of definitions. You can always pause the video that you go ahead and check them out. But points, lines, and planes are probably the most important ones because that's how we create our figures, and that's kind of how we are able to see the world of geometry for the entire year. Okay? Now, you have to be very specific about what you're describing because these symbols right here that you probably may have seen in algebra at some point, these are the ones that let me identify that you understand what are you working with, okay? And they're all completely different. So you got to be able to draw, you have to be able to show what exactly are you trying to refer back to, okay? So you have a point, which is a single, which shows a location, straight line, which has a double arrows and pointing in different directions, and that's kind of how it's drawn here. So just double arrows. A line segment's more like a bar, okay? So it's like right above the two letters that are the endpoints, and then a ray goes in a single direction, okay? And then that has the Z to W. So see how it starts at Z and then it points at W, so it goes through W. So this is the direction it needs to go in, okay? It will not, I repeat, will not go this way. That is wrong. Do not do that, okay? Because I'm going to refer back to the notes that we have. Plane, you just write the word plane, but you have to pick out, you have to be able to pick out three points that are within the plane itself, okay? Or you can call it plane F, and sometimes it'll be a cursive letter. I know this is not cursive, but it'll be a little bit of cursive F there. Collinear just means that all the points are on the same line, kind of how you're at lunch and you kind of wait till you get your food and then everybody's in line because that's considered to be collinear because they're all on the same line. There's also non-collinear, okay? So non-collinear is when you have some of those points or some of those students that are not on the same line and they're trying to go ahead and cut the line. That will be considered non-collinear, okay? So non-collinear, just so you know the difference between them. Okay, so just throwing it out there for y'all. So just trying to highlight that so you understand that there's also non-collinear points involved. Coplanar, that means all the points are all within the plane, like all the marbles are sitting on top of the desk. That's what it is. The intersection is a really tricky one. So imagine having the spine of your notebook, and as you open it, the spine is going to be the intersection that goes through all the planes, which are the pages, okay? So a little bit of references to vocab, so just so you understand what's going on, okay? You can always repeat the video. Okay, so biggest part, the way that you need to approach this is that you have to be able to understand notation. And the notation is what was as mentioning earlier, which is like the double arrow, the single arrow, the bar, so the bar, so just writing the word plane, just understanding what parts that you have to be very detailed about. So here I have a tightrope walker. He's one of those people that walks along the lines, but they had to follow certain points, right? Whatever points that they're stepping on, and that kind of helps them get to where they want to be at. You're going to have to kind of think like that in a sense because you have to be able to identify where are you walking along this tightrope, like what direction that you're going to be going in. And it makes it a little bit easier to understand, especially when you're trying to start off where you're going. Okay, so I'll work out a couple of these, and I won't work all of them, but I'll see if I can skip around so you understand what's going on. Okay, list two other names for line P. So I'm going to use my highlighter. Use highlighters. Here's P, and there you go. To name a line, remember, it takes 2 points. So you can pick whatever combination you want, but in this case, we're going to go with M, N. And then, so I'm picking these 2 points, okay? But remember, it says line. A line has double arrows, so that means I'm going to put double arrow here, okay? Now, you can always flip these 2 points, and then it gives you NM, and then now you have another way to name that line, okay? Because now it's including the arrows that are involved here, okay? So that's a line. Okay, so name 3 points that are collinear. So we're gonna look for 3 points, and I'm gonna just highlight them. So 3 points that are collinear. So I'm gonna go with K, I, and then N. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and write, I'm going to go write N, K, and I. Okay, now it gets a little bit tricky sometimes, so if you don't want to get yourself confused, you can always write the word point right in front of them. So just make sure that you can specify which ones you're working with, okay? All right, so then we went over points. We have a line. Okay, list three different rays. List three different, list three different three rays. Okay, so then, so we're listing three different rays, okay? So remember, a ray has to go in a single direction. So I'm just going to make that one up. So it has to go like that. Okay, so you start at A or you can go towards B. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to start at K. K is the one I'm going to start at. Okay, so now point to a direction. I'm right-handed, so usually I go towards the right. So I'm going to go towards L. So now you have your little arrow. Okay, do not include Q because Q is a cursive letter. That's not what we want. Okay. All right, so another one we can go ahead and draw is going to go right. We're going to use K and then I. I'm just focusing on K for now. Now, if you want to pick a different one, you can go for it. Like, you can go with N. Go with N, and then you can pick H. So N and then H. That's another one you can pick, but your arrow has to point to the right, okay? Always remember that. So don't simply just forget. Alrighty. So opposite rays. So what does it mean, right? So added this word right here, opposite, and then rays. Rays was what we just described up here. So what's the opposite of that, right? So as that goes, is that you're going to pick whatever you want to use for a regular ray. So I'm going to pick a random one, okay? Because I don't want to pick the same ones over and over again. So I'm going to go with, actually I might need to have to pick those two. So I'm going to go with N, okay? And I'm going to go towards M. So I'm going to go N, M, because I started at N and I ended at letter M. And then now I'm going to start at N again, and then I'm going to go the opposite direction. So which is going to be this way, okay? So that'll be N, O, and there you go. The arrow still points to the right side, even though it says opposite rays, but that's kind of how we have our symbols. So just be very careful on it, okay? All right, so name the intersection, right? So intersection of PR. So here's P. Okay, I'm just going to highlight it. So here's P, and then where's R? So where do they intersect at? At point N. So there you go. Okay, so that's kind of how we got it. All right, I'm going to skip around here again, right? Opposite rays, collinear points. Okay. Name 3 points that are non-collinear, okay? Non-collinear. So when we go through here, what are 3 points that are non-collinear? Everybody's going to come up with different answers, so just simply think that you're going to have the same answer as your buddy. That might be pick out something else. So I'm going to go with G. And non-collinear means it's not going to be on the same line. So I'm going to go with F. And then I'm going to go with D. Because they're not on the same lines. They're on 3 different lines. Or 3 different, I guess 3 different directions, okay? So there you go. Point, sorry, my pen, Apple Pen's kind of small. So then, so just write point. Okay? So that's what we got so far for those. Okay? All right, last one, okay? And then I'll come up with another set of examples. Name the opposite ray of CG. So CG, here's C, and then G's right there. So what's the opposite direction if you go there? Okay, it has to make a straight line with it. So the opposite direction will be CH. So it will be CH. There you go. And that's it, because you start at C, and then you go towards H. Alrighty, so now sometimes the pictures might get a little bit more complicated, especially like this one over here. So just be very careful. So example, a line containing point F, right? So here's point F. So what's the line? The line that we're describing is going to be J. So it'll be point J. Oh, sorry, not point. See, that's what I'm saying. It's just got to be able to use line. J. Okay, it's very easy to get these letters confused, like the J's and the A's and the ones that don't have like a dot with it. Like right here, another one. So what's another name for line K? So line K, I erase this. This goes from here to there. So then what's another name for it? Pick 2 points. BE, EB, and now these see little dotted lines here, it just means it's right behind the plane. Kind of how you like stab a pencil behind a paper, like the pencil's still behind the paper, but it's just hidden. So that's like another way of writing when you have a line behind the plane, okay? So I'm gonna say EC. And then don't forget your double arrows, okay? Alrighty. Okay, so I'll leave you there. Just remember, just walk like a tightrope, know where it is, and then because that's gonna be very crucial, especially for the next couple of units that you have to work with. Okay. Alrighty, hey, alrighty, y'all. Just make sure you go ahead and just go ahead and just be ready for the next unit, and then just keep studying. Okay. Tune into the next video. All right. Bye.